Waiting by Roland Barthes. I'm waiting for an arrival, a return, a promised sign. This can be futile or immensely pathetic. Inwartung, waiting. A woman waits for her lover at night in the forest. I am waiting for no more than a telephone call, but the anxiety is the same. Everything is solemn. I have no sense of proportions. There is a scenography of waiting. I organize it, manipulate it, cut out a portion of time in which I shall mime the loss of the loved object and provoke all the effects of a minor mourning. This is then acted out as a play. The setting represents the interior of a cafe. We have a rendezvous. I am waiting. In the prologue, the sole actor of the play, and with reason, I discern and indicate the other's delay. This delay is as yet only a mathematical, computable entity. I look at my watch several times. The prologue ends with a brainstorm. I decide to take it badly. I release the anxiety of waiting. Act 1 now begins. It is occupied by suppositions. Was there a misunderstanding as to the time? The place? I try to recall the moment when the rendezvous was made, the details which were supplied. What is to be done? Anxiety of behavior. Try another cafe? Telephone? But if the other comes during these absences, not seeing me, the other might leave, etc. Act 2 is the act of anger. I address violent reproaches to the absent one. All the same, he, she, could have, he, she, knows perfectly well. Oh, well, if she, he, could be here so that I could reproach her, him, for not being here. In Act 3, I obtain anxiety in the pure state, the anxiety of abandonment. I've just shifted in a second from absence to death. The other is as if dead, explosion of grief. I am internally livid. That is the play. It can be shortened by the other's arrival. If the other arrives in Act 1, the greeting is calm. If the other arrives in Act 2, there is a scene. If in Act 3 there is recognition, the action of grace. I breathe deeply, like Peleus emerging from the underground chambers and rediscovering life. The odor of roses. The anxiety of waiting is not continuously violent. It has its moments. I'm waiting and everything around my waiting is stricken with unreality. In this cafe, I look at the others who come in, chat, joke, read, calmly. They're not waiting. Waiting is enchantment. I have received orders not to move. Waiting for a telephone call is thereby woven out of tiny, unavowable interdictions to infinity. I forbid myself to leave the room, to go to the toilet, even to the telephone, to keep the line from being busy. I suffer torments if someone else telephones me for the same reason. I madden myself by the thought that a certain imminent hour I shall have to leave, thereby running the risk of missing the healing call, the return of the mother. All these diversions which solicit me are so many wasted moments for waiting, so many impurities of anxiety. For the anxiety of waiting in its pure state requires that I be sitting in a chair within reach of the telephone without doing anything. That being I am waiting for is not real, like the mother's breast for the infant. I create and recreate it over and over, starting from my capacity to love, starting from my need for it. The other comes here where I am waiting, here where I have created him, her. And if the other does not come, I hallucinate the other. Waiting is a delirium. The telephone again. Each time it rings, I snatch up the receiver. I think it will be the loved being who is calling me. since that being should call me. A little more effort, and I recognize the other's voice. I engage in the dialogue to the point where I lash out furiously against the importunate outsider who wakens me from my delirium. In the cafe, anyone who comes in bearing the slightest resemblance is thereupon, in a first impulse, recognized. And long after the amorous relation is allayed, I keep the habit of hallucinating the being I have loved. Sometimes I'm still in anxiety over a telephone call that is late. No matter who is on the other line, I imagine I recognize the voice I once loved. I am an amputee who still feels pain in his missing leg. Am I in love? Yes, since I'm waiting. The other never waits. Sometimes I want to play the part of the one who doesn't wait. I try to busy myself elsewhere, to arrive late, but I always lose. At this game, whatever I do, I find myself there with nothing to do. Punctual, even ahead of time. The lover's fatal identity is precisely, I am the one who waits. In transference, one always waits at the doctors, the professors, the analysts. Further, if I am waiting at a bank window, an airport ticket counter, I immediately establish an aggressive link with the teller, the stewardess whose indifference unmasks and irritates my subjection, so that one might say that whereby there is waiting, there is transference. I depend on a presence which is shared and requires time to be bestowed, as if it were a question of lowering my desire, lessening my need. To make some weight the constant prerogative of all power, age-old pastime of humanity. A mandarin fell in love with a courtesan. I shall be yours, she told him, when you have spent 100 nights waiting for me, sitting on a stool in my garden, beneath my windows. But on the 99th night, the mandarin stood up, put his stool under his arm, and went away.